Welcome back to Click English, everyone. Today's video is all about line charts. It's a sort of question which confuses a lot of people. So in today's video, we are going to discuss what's the best way to analyze line charts and what approach should you take when attempting one. Just a heads up before we begin analyzing our question is that I'm not going to be discussing how to write an introduction to an IELTS writing task 1 or what is the vocabulary which I should use. Some of it I have already covered in my previous IELTS video. The link you will find in the description. And if this does not work for you, very soon I'm going to be releasing a video analyzing multiple line charts and bar charts in future. So do subscribe to the channel if you want to stay updated and learn the best way of attempting IELTS questions, right? So now without further ado, let's begin. Alright, so let's look at this line graph. This line graph shows the number of international student admissions in 4 countries from the years 1995 to 2020. So we have 4 countries, A, B, C and D. The x-axis shows the time and the y-axis shows the number of admissions in thousands. I apologize for the poor penmanship, for the poor handwriting. I'll try to improve it in the next video. I hope it is legible, it is clear and understandable. So as we can see here that there is time given in the x-axis. Now this is very important because you will find this in most of the line graphs. That means it is a movement or a dynamic type of data. Now what do I mean by that? I'll just explain shortly. One mistake when people look at line graphs such as this is something which is very common, and that is that they start categorizing and they start describing the data by saying that country A is the highest number of admissions, followed by country B at 25,000 and so on and so forth, and they will continue to describe the other data sets in a similar manner. Now it's not wrong, but it's also not the best way to analyze this type of data. As we can see here, the time is given and it is a movement or a dynamic type of data. That means that we have to look at the trends. We have to look at what is increasing and what is decreasing. If there is something which is fluctuating, or there is a type of data set which is stable. Now here we can see that there are certain countries such as country A where admissions are increasing, and in case of country C we can clearly see the admissions are decreasing. So we have to use these words and their synonyms when we are writing our main body paragraph and even in our overview statement. So once you've understood that, then the next step is to make groups. Now what do I mean by making groups? You have to make groups of countries where admissions are again going up, and countries, if there are any, where admissions are going down, and so on and so forth. So in this case we can clearly see that in case of country A the admissions are increasing, and we also see that in case of country D the admissions are also increasing. So I will mention these 2 countries together in my main body paragraph. I will then also mention country B as being stable, although we can see that it's slightly fluctuating, but it is more or less stable, as the number of admissions is 25,000 in 95, also in 2020. In case of country C, we see clearly that the admissions are declining, they're going down. Had there been a country E, let's imagine there's a country E which starts at 35,000 and again goes down, then I will also then group this country with country C. Now you might ask, why is it important for us to group these countries together? Now if we look at the band descriptors, under 8 band, we can clearly see under the column of coherence and cohesion, the examiners are asking us to sequence information and ideas logically. So it is very important to present all the aspects cohesively and logically. And that is what we are trying to do by grouping the data sets together. So when we group the data sets together, that means that when we will present them together, we will present country A and D together, and we are logically organizing our data. Another thing which you should keep in mind when attempting line graphs is to only and only mention the key features. Very important. Again, as we can see here, under task achievement, it clearly mentions that the examiners are expecting the students to present and highlight and illustrate key features and key features only. Now, what are the key features in this case, in this line graph, and how to select key features? That is also something which is very important to know. Now, most of the time, key features would usually be the starting and the ending point. And in some cases, if there is something which is happening which you feel you must mention in between the starting and the ending point, you can mention that as well. So in case of country A, we can see that although the data is increasing, there was a slight dip in between. So I will mention this in my main body. And that is all the information I will mention about country A. Okay, so let's, for an example, take how we are going to write our main body if we are only describing country A and D. Remember, these two are both showing an increasing trend over the years. So if I have to write about these two in our main body, then I would say, when examining the details, it becomes evident that despite country A having highest number of admissions and country D the lowest, both countries have experienced an increase in admissions from 1995 to 2020. So just by mentioning this, I have told the examiner that country A has the highest number of admission and D has the lowest number of admissions, but both of them have an increasing trend in admissions from this year to this year. And then I move on to elaborate and provide the data. So I can say in 1995, country A had 30,000 students admissions, which gradually increased to 35 by 2020 with a slight dip between 2005 and 10. So this is all about country A, the starting point, which is 30,000 student admissions. And then I need to mention this, very important, the rate of change. How did the change occur? In this case, the change was increase. So was it rapidly increasing or was it gradually increasing? In this case, it was gradually, so I mentioned this. This is important to mention these words. So to repeat, I have said, in 1995, country A had 30,000 student admissions, which gradually increased to 35,000 by 2020. This is my end point. And then I say, in between, there was a slight dip in the years 2005, between the years 2005 and 2010. Similarly, there was a consistent growth in admissions in country D, rising from 5,000 students to approximately 13,000 students by 2020. So again, starting point, ending point, and I've mentioned what kind of change it was. It was an increase, so I've used a synonym of increase, which is growth, and I've mentioned a consistent growth. Rising, another synonym, from 5,000 students to approximately 13,000 students by 2020. And this is a pattern which you need to follow when you are attempting and writing main body 1 for line graphs. You highlight the key features and you use the correct vocabulary and its synonyms. and that's it. Pretty easy, right? Now, why is this well written? Because I've used synonyms, so that will help me in my score of vocabulary, my lexical resource score. It is quite clear. My ideas are logically sequenced. And the examiner, if anyone reads this, they can understand what is happening in the chart without actually looking at the chart, and that is the secret. So they understand, okay, this is the starting point for A, which was 30,000. It gradually increased to 35,000, but hold on, there was a slight dip here between these years, 2005 to 2010. And if I write like this, anyone can imagine what the line graph looks like. And that's the secret. If you can write so clearly, then you will get a very high score. Right, so that's it. That's the way how you need to approach a line graph or line chart question. And these are the things which you need to keep in mind when attempting a question like this. So I hope you learned something. If you did, please give it a like, share it with other people, and do subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next time. Till then, bye-bye.